What is up, Raider Nation? Your old buddy Murph back for an RFR conversation with a good friend of ours, a guy that's been part of our show's history for really since its inception. He's an OG made man, and that is Jimmy Zbach. He is the president of the Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club, and he's got an amazing initiative going on where he's got some a signage project in play that's going to honor the great Fred Biletnikoff, and so we're going to get a chance to talk to Jim about that and also numerous other Raider things. So let's go ahead and jump into it, and this is my conversation with Jim Zbach.
Murph.
Jimmy Zbach, how are you, sir?
I'm listening to your Tales from the Dark Side on the Tuck Roll game.
Misery loves company, my friend.
What the hell am I doing before you call listening to that?
I don't know. I don't know what we were doing recording it. We got about halfway through that show, and I'm going, this is a terrible idea.
When I was watching that game, and I'm looking at the photo right now, I knew it was going to be rough because in this first series of downs, the Raiders were going for a first down. Timmy Brown caught the ball on the sideline, literally a foot away from the marker, the first down marker.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy holding the sign is a foot away from him. Okay. So he caught it on the right side. In other words, he got the first down. He got hit by, is it Rodney Harrison was 24 back then? I'm not sure. He got hit by number 24, and I'm looking at the photo. He pushed him backwards when he hit him, and he went out of bounds about a yard short of the first down. The referee marked the ball a yard and a half short of the first down. Now, when you look at the original photo where Tim Brown is catching the ball, the referee is 3 yards away from Tim Brown and 3 yards away from the first down marker, the guy holding the sign. Okay?
Yeah.
Chucky freaks out, throws a challenge flag, all right? And they look at it and say, oh, we move it up a foot, but you didn't get the first down, so you didn't get it, and we're taking a timeout from you. And I go, oh, this is going to be a bad game. I was like, that's bad juju.
Unbelievable.
I don't like it.
It's the worst.
Which kind of leads. Okay, I have to exercise my demons after listening to this stupid podcast.
Go ahead, do it.
So, and this, of course, this was right after 9/11, and of course they wanted the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
And now this year they're trying to probably get the Chiefs and the Packers, knowing it's the first Super Bowl in the 100th Super Bowl or 100th year of the thing. I just bet you this is what they're doing. Now, I haven't heard you discuss this yet, but have you talked about this systemic bias in the NFL officiating, this report that came out from this ethical skeptic?
No, we have not, and we've stayed away from it. Yeah, very much so, and I've stayed away from it intentionally because. Yep, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yep, can you hear me?
Oh, I lost you for a second. Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay.
That was weird.
Yeah, we've stayed away from that very intentionally because it was covered so heavily by another podcast, and and we don't, we want to make sure we're covering our own content. So, and I've had a lot of people send it our way, and me and Mosh will probably talk about it briefly this week. But no, it's so much in-depth discussion about it out there, and we've kind of always known that as Raider fans, right? That's something that exists, and
now we have proof. We've been validated. Okay?
That is very true. Yes, sir.
And the other thing too in this is this has to become an issue because we're spending money on this league. We're going to games. We're paying DirecTV. And if it's a fixed league, all right, then you might as well call it the WWE. And I think that's what I have to wonder if that's what Goodell's been doing all these years and why the league is so successful is because they've orchestrated it in such a way, or at least influenced it to try to orchestrate it in such a way that it's made it more exciting to a certain degree or bigger audiences. And it's become more successful that way. But in the meantime, though, he's royally screwing a lot of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a problem from as I'm concerned, man.
I agree. And it's and I've always thought that way about like gambling. Like I remember when I was a kid and I used to ask my dad about that, about why, that gambling wasn't legal and why, there was never a professional franchise in Las Vegas and things like that. And he always told me that it was because that's what would derail the sport. Like that as soon as there's a question, a legitimate question of the outcomes of games, that those things are potentially tainted or influenced, then the league loses all credibility, and then it won't be fun to watch anymore. And so I'm with you 1,000,000% that and I don't know, it's a hard, it's kind of like, I hate to compare it to politics, but it's like, are there's overriding conspiracies where you have people in back rooms that are plotting against the Raiders, or, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that's a little far-fetched and a little bit, tinfoil hat of us to think that way. But are there inherent things that come with an owner that continually battles and sues the league and threatens its very existence at times and throws up a middle finger to it and does whatever he wants? Is the league going to then have just an inherent negative reaction to that? Absolutely. And the reason that I say that is because the converse of that also exists, and that's regardless of the sport, that if you have the superstar treatment, whether it's been Michael Jordan, LeBron James, or Tom Brady, or Joe Montana, like, certain players get certain calls because they've earned, not even earned, but they've developed that reputation in the league. And so then if that exists, then the opposite of that has to exist too. And that's just where we as the league villains come out. Now, here's the big thing, and I'll say this, is that this is not a new thing. This has been, you're an old school guy like I am. This has been around a long, long time. The difference is we used to win through that. We used to win through that adversity. We used to win through those challenges. And now we haven't been able to keep up with it in forever. Right. And so now it's like when those things stand out, they're a complete detriment to our success, where back then in the 70s and even in the 80s, we just played right on through that, man, because our talent and our coaching overrode any of that crap, So,
well, Davis said you always got to beat the other team and the referees.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Got to beat them both. And now I find myself, when I'm watching these games, because now I can see where the bias is. Takes me almost no time at all. As soon as you start one of these controversial calls, and then a second one, and it's always against the same team, this kind of stuff, exactly what they're doing. And I find myself now rooting for the team that's getting screwed.
Yeah, me too. Like, I've been the biggest Saints fan for like the past 3 years. I'm like, these poor guys. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, these poor guys keep getting screwed, and then they get knocked off again by Minnesota. It's like, oh my gosh, man. It's like,
I know.
Anyway, but hey, let's jump into it here. Let me give you the proper introduction. So we're talking to the one and only Jimmy Zbach. He is Erie Raider on Twitter and everywhere else. He's the president of the Great Lakes Booster Club. The Great Lakes Booster Club, early on, great friend of our show. Jim, you were in with us early. One of the charter members of the Made Men crew.
Yes,
You've been around with us for a long time. We met in person at the Titans game a few years ago, hung out with us at our tailgate, and had a great time getting to know you and your family.
Hey, that was the first time I wore black lipstick, by the way.
It looks good on you. Really brought out your eyes. But it was, and you have a great getup, and you and your family, you all dress up. You guys take on the persona. You guys are the super fans, and it's awesome. And we really dig it. And so you've been a good friend of Raiders Fan Radio for a long time, and you got a really unique story that I want to get to. One of the things that your club has always been associated with is with one Fred Biletnikoff, who is from Erie, Pennsylvania, where you live, and your booster club logo is one of the greatest. I'm looking at it right now with the just win baby, and got Freddie B putting up the number one like that. And anybody that listens to our show knows how much we're big fans of Freddie around here. So want to get to this special story, but before we get to all that, let's get back in touch with our buddy Jimmy Zbach, and let's find out what's been going on with you lately. What's going on with the Great Lakes Booster Club? How's your 2019 season?
We as a club here, we're getting ready now for Cleveland coming, or for the Raiders coming down to the Cleveland area here this year, which is very exciting. And we've been spending a lot of time here lately, kind of rebuilding the club from the foundation up, trying to identify core members and those who want to stick with us and be able to show up consistently and do all that kind of fun stuff. But what we've done here now is participated in a project to honor Fred Biletnikoff. So, which is the reason I reached out to you. And there's a field in town, the high school that Fred Biletnikoff went to, the one I went to, has a field named after him called the Biletnikoff Field. And it's basically, the sign has been around for at least 30 years now, that it was hand painted by some students, and you can kind of understand where that is. So I've driven by that thing forever. I'm a Raider fan because of Fred Biletnikoff. The Raiders in the '70s. There was nobody more fun to watch. And I've been driving by this thing for decades, just looking at this thing, just going, "We've got to do something. We've got to do something." So I got a call from one of the guys on a committee that is working with Fred to actually get this thing done. His name was Doug Smith, and he called me and says, "Hey, you want to get the club involved in redoing this thing?" And I go, "Yeah." And I go, "Hey, by the way, I'm the designer. I designed the Great Lakes Raiders Boosted Club logo and all that stuff." He goes, "Yeah." I go, "So you want to do it?" I go, "Yeah." And of course, I'll volunteer. And he goes, "Yeah, of course." So, so I got involved in the project that way, and we had a bunch of things we wanted to accomplish in there. And obviously, it's a school logo. The school name has changed. The colors have changed, so on and so forth. So we wanted to build a sign that honored Fred in a big way. This is a huge tribute to, he's the top athlete from this area. And of course, one of the greatest Raiders of all time. And his accomplishments are just astonishing. I don't know if you've taken the time to look at his accomplishments or not. If you've seen the sign that I built, Murph, have you seen that?
No, tell us all about it.
Oh, man. Well, the sign itself is, I have a list of his accomplishments on this thing, and I can quickly run through this if you want.
Please. But heck yeah. Let's celebrate his career.
This dude, he graduated from Technical Memorial High School, which is where I graduated from in '61. He was all city, all state, college All-American, second round draft pick of the Oakland Raiders, all AFL, all AFC, all pro, 2 AFL All-Star games, 3 AFL championship games, 4 Pro Bowl games, 5 AFC championship games, 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, NFL Hall of Fame. He's a College Football Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, California Hall of Fame, San Francisco Bay Area Sports Hall of Fame, Florida State University Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania all-time high school football greats, players like Montana, I forget, from Chicago. I forget his name now. Defensive guy. Anyway, Gator Bowl Hall of Fame, named to the 75th Gator Bowl All-Star Team in 2019, named to the John Madden All-Millennial Team, 2016 Walter Camp Man of the Year, and of course the Biletnikoff Award, named in his honor, presented annually to the top college receiver in NCAA Division I football. Unbelievable.
Wow.
I had to put that on the sign.
Well, I've just brought it up while you were talking, and we're going to share this on our social media pages, so everybody can get a chance. Everybody that's listening get a chance to check it out. Check it out. We'll have it up on our Facebook. Probably be the easiest place to have it displayed. It's amazing looking. Like, not only cool. Again, I mentioned your design skills on the logo and stuff that you've. So I mean, that clearly comes across in the signage, but just everything from the Hall of Fame bust and the list of all the accomplishments. Just an awesome job on this, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. So I really wanted to make sure we accomplished certain things in this sign. Obviously, supporting the school and doing the good things like that, and making sure we communicate to these kids that, greatness runs in their educational bloodlines, that kind of stuff. Let alone that I wanted Fred and Angela to feel honored looking at the sign and to know how much we appreciate what they did, and to make sure people understand what this guy did. It's just amazing. Now, the backside shows Fred, from the Super Bowl with the number 1 finger up in the air.
Yeah.
And that one kind of came. That one came from a Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club, but
that's.
But I really like it, so I wanted to use that.
Absolutely, I love it. You got the graduation date.
Yeah. Now the reason I did that one is that one faces the field, so all these students that are going to be playing on that field will be seeing that number 1, and Fred, with that number 1 hand sticking up there, so that reminds them of what they could be and all that potential, and of course what Fred accomplished in that time, because he had just won the Super Bowl and was the MVP when he was doing that, so which is amazing. Now, because I run a Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club, I have the Raider logo all over this thing. So, don't say that to too many people. Anyway, so I had to get the Raider logo everywhere. Even though we're located between Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo, I had to make sure that was in there. So that was very important. Anyway, the reason I reached out to you was, yes, I wanted to make sure that people know that this kind of stuff is going on. But more importantly, we're actually doing some fundraising for this thing. and we only need 10 to 12,000. We could easily raise that here locally. I'm not necessarily coming to Raider Nation for that. What I want, though, is one of the signs will list the sponsors of the sign. And I would love for one of those sponsors to say Raider Nation. Just their nation stepping up and supporting one of their own, and giving just, $25, $50, and, we get 100 of us doing that kind of thing. And suddenly we're number one on that sponsor list, listed up there for all of eternity, I'm going to say. But as long as that sign will last, it's going to show Raider Nation as one of the bigger support levels for this Biletnikoff field and this sign, which I think is very appropriate. So that's why I reached out to you, because I really wanted to see that happen. And so I'm trying to spread the word. I'm getting it out as much as I can. So, and I appreciate you having me on to discuss it. So
absolutely. So what can we do to, number one, where can we make donations at? And then number two, like when we make that donation, what do we need to note on there so that we all get lumped together into the same group?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, you can, one of two things. There's an electronic way and there's a mailing way, but I have on my Great Lakes Raiders Booster Club pinned to the top of the page on the Facebook page, a piece that discusses what I'm discussing right now. And on there is a place to go electronically where you can donate that money. And it's tax deductible, by the way. This is the Foundation for Erie Schools, is a nonprofit group. And so any money you contribute to it becomes, tax deductible, which is pretty cool. And by the way, for anybody out there who really wants to step up, for anywhere over $1,000, you can get your own name up there. So just in case you want to know that. But my point in saying that is when you're donating through this electronic system, I'm going to know where it's coming from, and I'm going to know who's going to be doing that. But it's always best to let us know you do that. So if you do happen to go to our Facebook page or our Twitter page, just send us to us. Hey, I just donated $25, that kind of thing. And I'll make sure I know that, so I can lump us all together and put us on there as one giving unit under Raider Nation, which would just be awesome.
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 That'd be great.
So, it would. I mean, it's just so appropriate.
Absolutely.
Number one.
Well, hit them. Mm-hmm. So hit them up, Raider Nation. So go to the Facebook page. So it's Great Lakes Booster Club.
Great Lakes Raiders. Great
Lakes Raiders Booster Club. Okay, yeah, definitely go to their Facebook, check it out, and I'll share it. We'll have this all over our socials as well, and we'll get all this stuff out there. We'll let Swag Jeff know to promote the heck out of it on Instagram and everything, and we'll get it everywhere out there. And rally up, Raider Nation. Look, this wouldn't be the first time we've raised money for a Biletnikoff initiative here.
That's right.
So we're not strangers to this stuff, Raider Nation. So so let's kick it into gear now. When should we get this stuff in, aside from tomorrow? Give us what like a deadline would be for the funds.
Oh man, over the next couple weeks, a couple 3 weeks, there's not a huge deadline, but we want to make sure folks are moving, fairly quick on it, because you forget about it, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So do it now, Raider Nation. You got your tax check coming up, for crying out loud. Crack off a $20 bill or a $50 bill, and then let Jimmy Z know on Twitter or somewhere else that it's going to the Biletnikoff sign, and it's from you as a member of Raider Nation. Let's lump this thing in together, and let's make sure that we're represented there at the top of the list.
Outstanding.
Sir.
Thank you, Murph.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Doing this.
Absolutely. Great to have you on again. And hey, before we let you go, what do you got planned for 2020? You going to the draft? You going to you said you got a Cleveland game coming up. What else you got on the calendar for 2020 for the Raiders?
Well, a couple of things. A couple of the guys in our club have season tickets in Vegas. So I'm hoping to at least get out for one of those, and it's in the Black Hole, which is pretty sticky.
Oh, nice.
So it's like 6 rows back, that kind of thing. So I'm hoping to get out there. I've never been to Vegas, and of course my wife goes, "You go, I'm going with you."
Yeah.
yeah. So that'll be cool. And then of course we have the Cleveland game. We'll have a tailgate for that. And last time we did this, we weren't involved in the last one, but this one we will be involved in it. And we had about 300, 400 people at the tailgate last time. So I'm hoping to grow that number in a big way. But we've been involved in some tailgates, like in Buffalo here a couple years back. And gosh, the Raider Nation invasion night before, we had 500 people in a bar. It was unbelievable.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's fun.
That's
it's fun,
awesome.
Man.
Well, we got
you
a
get
lot
that
of
many people together.
We got a lot of listeners in Ohio. We got
Cool.
Yeah, we got quite a good Raider contingent up there, and so we will definitely, depending on the where it strikes us on the calendar and all that, we'll definitely, number one, we'll get you back on before the tailgate, so you can tell everybody about where they can find you and on all that. And you never know, it might be a trip in there for me and Uncle Mosh. Man, we haven't been to a good roadie in a while, and never been to the Midwest, so I'd love to go.
And you're by the NFL Hall of Fame, you're by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, there's stuff to do down there. So, you can really make a couple of days of it and really have some fun.
Absolutely.
So,
good stuff.
But anybody, if those Ohio people, man, like our page, our Facebook page, let us know you're out there. So when we promote this stuff, you can actually find out about it and get involved.
Yeah, so, Ron. Let's get on it, Ron, the Mater Raider. He probably already is, but
he might already be there.
You might already be there. We'll call him out anyways. Let's go, Ron.
We're going on 1,300 people on the page, so we got a decent amount of numbers.
Oh, nice. So. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Right on. Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, hey, love the good news, man. I love a good initiative, and something for a school is always a good thing, and something as historic and as memorable as what this will be, and the messaging behind it is fantastic, and so we're proud to be a part of it, man. I know I'll be making my donation to Raider Nation. Let's go. Crack open that wallet.
Standing. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Raider Nation.
All right.
Let's get it done.
Thank you, Jim. Talk to you soon, bud.
Thanks.